Yeah, but I think that they understand, the hazards of live TV in the pressure. I think they understand that he was trying to draw heel heat. It was done with the best of intentions, and if he's been reprimanded, if he's been, Vince sits him down and says, "Hey, good work overall. Hey, I love the fire, I love the effort. Tone it down a little bit to our rating, right?"
Yeah.
I think that's appropriate action as far as I'm concerned. I think that's quote unquote appropriate action if I was running the show.
Well, I'm sure the Chris Jericho flag thing and the Daniel Bryan tie thing from back in the days when Nexus formed.
Yeah, no,
we're all with the best intention.
Bryan was gone for 90 days off of that, right?
Yeah,
and then came back, and then Jericho was off for 30, right? So no suspension, it seems.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it depends on the outrage, too. It depends how many letters they get sent. I'm not really sure. But then there was, that wasn't the only thing in the week. There was Tensai, right?
Yeah.
Tensai posted a tout of him driving with Sakamoto. They're obviously road buddies, which makes sense, they're in the same act. And he basically just said that you got to be careful driving with a Japanese person, and then he tells him to open his eyes and hits him. So I guess subtle racism there, I guess, is what is the issue.
Yes.
And so that also prompted WWE to apologize and take appropriate action and blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, what do you think of that one? Do you think better or worse than AW? Do you think it was just two guys having fun on the road and happened to be misinterpreted?
I'm sure it was just two guys just having a good time.
And I think I agree, and I think that it was definitely blown out of proportion, right? There was obviously no, insensitivity. There was no aggressiveness in any way. It was just them, I'm sure Vince has been saying, get on that tout, right? Like, post touts. I want you guys to be using this. We have money invested, and, that's a part of the process, the same way he tells them to tweet.
Yeah.
And this is going to be one of the things, when you put these guys on, little 15-second, you can't edit it or you can edit it, but you can't, go back and type over it like you can read it. If you read a tweet, you can read it before you post it. These things, it's you film it on your phone and you put it online, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be an issue. They're going to need to sit everybody down and say, okay, you can't say little things like that. Where's the line crossed? And I think maybe they didn't do that. They probably didn't have that meeting, and maybe now they will, now that we're starting to see some of these incidents, right? Bring everybody in for some sort of sensitivity seminar.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting in WWE, right? Sensitivity.
Indeed.
Be a star, I remember reading that Mark Madden said that he thought WWE was a pro-bullying company, because if you watch the product, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah. And actually posted on Score.com, on one of their blogs by, who did it? Norm Sousa. He says, okay, AW was bad enough. This is just flat out wrong. Perhaps Sakamoto is a bad driver, but to say that all Japanese people are bad drivers is racism.
Is that a comment or is that a blog post?
That's actually from the blog.
Oh, wow.
Maybe he's a bad driver because you keep hitting him in the head while he's trying to pay attention to the road, Albert.
Yeah, it seems that seems like, doesn't seem like much of a well-founded opinion that he's criticizing him just because he used to be Albert and playing on the fact that the angle is not, you know what I mean? That he's not actually beating him up. They know that, right?
Yeah.
But it seems that seems to be like a bit of an overreaction to a 15-second video, right? And a couple of at best, 3 steps removed from racism comments. Little offhand remarks. It's not a big deal. So that's the type of reaction that WWE worries they're going to get, and obviously there's people who are going to react like this. This guy writes for a major TV network on their website.
Yeah.
That opinion gets out there. People read that, and they might. It's bad. So I can understand from that perspective why WWE will be worried about it. But I think also those types of people.
Yeah, and actually I understand that WWE is considering no longer using tout because of.
Really, I didn't hear that. That's a pretty big. They're
at least considering it. Whether or not they're going to actually stop is
because they had money invested into that, and honestly, I think tout on a whole is a very smart move. I like the idea of having fans able to speak out, and more importantly, I like the idea of wrestlers being able to. I mean, if you look at tout is basically an extension of Z True Long Island Story. Zack Ryder wanted to get on TV. He wanted his voice to be heard. So what did he do? He made a YouTube show.
Yeah.
Now WWE has armed its entire roster with the tools to do just that. Or the tools to expose their voice, their ability to promo over the course of 15 seconds. If you're smart, you can do that really well. You can make a 15-second promo mean something, right, through that tool.
Yeah.
Or apparently you can, use it to tank your whole career. And Tensai, man, he's not getting a break at all. You know, first there's the return, which is overhyped and underwhelming, and then, you know, going over to SmackDown, pretty much being exclusively used on SmackDown now. Talks of retooling the character. They make him an abusive husband, I guess, or whatever, to Sakamoto. And now there's
That's
this.
bound to be fun.
Because they signed him to a 2-year contract, right? They always their standard contract for returning for any talent that they don't need to train up. They can just put them right on TV is 2 years. So they got months and months and months left with this guy. So they got to figure out a way, unless they have a legitimate reason to release him, and this could be segued into that, who knows? But unless they can find a legitimate reason to release him, then, you know, he's around, right? So they got to use him. And I think he's a good talent. I think he can wrestle. I think he's a good big man. I think he just hasn't had the opportunity to do what he was doing over in Japan. I couldn't remember the last time I saw Tensai wrestle a series. Probably against Sheamus. Because the Tyson Kidd matches are all right, but they're more so designed to play into the whole, you know, will Tensai lose or will Tensai win, and when it's done, who's he going to beat up and blah, 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 right? It's not about having a great match. But I think he can have a pretty good match if they give him the opportunity.
Yeah. Actually, Norm Sousa's compatriot on thescore.com, Arda Ocal, actually posted an article to the Baltimore Sun website. He actually does a regular article on there, and he's the one who was questioning whether or not WWE should continue using Tout. And it looks more like he's just suggesting they should fine-tune it or something, not stop using it, but just be more careful and
that's and Ardo Ocal has a very well-informed opinion. I don't know the other guy, but Ardo Ocal is the guy who does the countdown, or he doesn't do the countdown, it's Greg Sansoni, but he does the top 5 during the Raw, and he like kind of watches it with you during the commercials. And his blogs are always very, very, I think they're very, very good. One of the best wrestling blogs that I read. Is Ardo Ocal's. I find his opinion is always well-informed, creative, outside the box when it needs to be. I remember he had a great, he predicted that Jericho would win the Royal Rumble this year by coming in after everybody else had been eliminated as 30, because remember this was when Jericho wasn't saying anything, right? And that would have been so cool, because we still don't know Jericho's motivations, but he walks into the ring, steps over the top rope, and wins the Rumble without having to hit one guy. That'd be pretty cool, and that would be unique, as opposed to what we saw, which was, you know, boring old generic Rumble that really showcased the lack of star power. You know, I mean, that was a rough Royal Rumble.
Indeed.
Right? Which Uso was in that? One of the Usos, Jay, I think. They had
Just one of them?
Yeah, it was weird. I guess they needed one spot, so get to one of the Usos.
Well, they needed 3 spots for all the commentators.
That's true, yeah, that's right. All the commentators were in there.
Including Michael Cole and his orange
singlet.
And
his little wrestling like headband that he wears. Who lasted longest? Cole lasted longest, because he bragged about it. Because Booker T got eliminated right away, and Lawler got eliminated pretty quick.
Was there anybody doing commentary while they were in the ring? Or?
I think they swapped out. I think when Cole, I think that there was never more than one of them in at a time, and the other 2 were on commentary. It was probably like, if you look at like in terms of production, in terms of like, you know, doing commentary while each of the commentators get in the ring and wrestle, it's probably well, like, you know, it was well executed, but it was just silly. It was stupid. I know that Jerry Lawler's not going to win. In a Royal Rumble, you don't want 15 guys you know aren't going to win and 15 guys you know have a decent, or like 10 guys you know have a decent chance, and then 5 guys you're pretty sure are going to be the top guys there. You want 30 guys, or as close as you can get, who's going to win. I have no clue. That's what you want in a Royal Rumble. You want mystery. Yeah. Right? Jericho, Sheamus, pretty obvious from the beginning that they would be one of those 2, and there you go. Yeah. So what are you going to do? Yeah. That's wrestling.
Wonder what Royal Rumble this year is going to be. They only did the 40 that one time a couple of years ago.
They did that in 2011 when Del Rio won. Yeah. They did the 40. I don't know if they'll go back to 40. I think right now probably 40 would again just expose the lack of roster depth. The lack of perceived. I mean, they just don't have. I don't know. They don't have the right guys in the right spots yet to make it. They have depth to their roster, but the depth is all below the Raw, SmackDown level right now. The depth is all down in NXT. FCW still figuring out how to do 6 moves and then win, right, or whatever they do in whatever they teach them in FCW to hit clothesline, spinning neck breaker, whatever it is that these guys do every week. Or Randy Orton. Oh, that's a good thing to talk about next. Did you hear about? Or do we have to take a break?
We'll take a quick musical break, but we'll preview what we'll be talking about.
I'm thinking some interesting news about Heath Slater, getting some momentum back behind his career after this Raw 1000 Legends angle. So maybe talk about that, talk about the return of Randy Orton, because he returned against Heath Slater on Monday. So some interesting stuff there, seeing some guys moving forward, a couple guys that WWE seems to be pretty high on right now. All that to come here on Ring Rust.
All right. And we'll take a quick musical break. Coming up will be the theme song for Seth Rollins in FCW, Battle On.
Battle On.
But first... to make a request, call 864-7935. Add 709 if you're calling long distance. Or email fanboy@markjabroni.s5.com.